risky behavior.
I'm bringing y'all a video today, a little light debate with the infamous Cynthia G and Dr. Umar. I wanted to do this video today, and it's not about even necessary. It's not so much as about the information that's in this video or the people that's in this video, but I think I realized why in our personal lives, we as a people, in our professional lives, things that we're going through in life, a lot of times when we're making arguments or we're going after what we want, we spend too much time arguing with dishonest people. People who have no intention of learning, people that have no intention of trying to do the right thing. They got their square and they standing on it. They don't care if what you're saying makes sense or not. Their mind is not going to change. They do not hear you. They just want to go to war. They just want to fight. They just want to be your opposition. They just want to keep you down. They're not trying to find a solution. They don't give a damn about the correct answer at all. In this video, the argument that Dr. Umar is having is him and another gentleman on this episode. The argument that they're having with the two women proves it all. They all admit that there's a solution, but you'll notice that it's one side that even when you tell them, hey, look, I understand there's problems and I see what you're saying, but can we get to a solution and not fight and not argue? And you can see it's one side that's like, nah, I just want to argue. And this video goes hand in hand with the whole gender war, man versus women, which for me is crazy because I feel like we need each other. I think that if you make one side look bad, you make all of us look bad. But nonetheless, you have people that don't care about solutions. And so we're going to watch this video together. I seen it one time, but hey, one time is not enough for me to remember word for word what everyone says. So it's going to be like we all watching this together for the first time. So let's go ahead and jump into this video.
Are black men? Is there a war being waged against black men? First of all, I want to see where you all stand just by a yes or no. Dr. Umar, is there? Yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Hope, is there?
No.
Duan?
Absolutely, yes.
Cynthia G, where are you on this?
The only war is the war that black men are waging against the black community.
Some truth to it, but I think that in black women, black men, many of them may choose to want a white woman, but many black women choose to look like white women. So we have to look at ourselves and we have to recognize that the pathology is not more of one gender than the other. That's the issue I have with conversations that seek to see who is more at fault, the black man or the black woman. It's not about who's more at fault. We rise together or we will perish together. The black man cannot survive without his woman, and the black woman cannot survive without her man. And the issue that I take with my two sisters' narrative is I hear a lot of criticism. I hear a lot of condemnation, but I don't hear any empowerment. I don't hear any solutions coming from either one of them. It appears as if that there is a hatred towards black men by those sisters. Even when they said, Why are we going back to 1960? Let's stay in 2022. That is so immature and irresponsible of a statement.
So Cynthia G, what do you say to historical context?
I say we should go to the historical context, because what I have not heard from Dr. Umar Johnson, or I think his name is Dwayne. Duane is what I have not heard as they're mentioning all of the things that was done to them. I haven't heard what you did in response to it. So I would like to know, what did you do in response in history other than go to the Supreme Court and petition to have access to the men's women that you're complaining and accusing of disenfranchising you? See, because in the 1960s, what Black men were really doing, and it's been documented, many civil rights leaders have admitted to it, what Black men were doing is chasing the white man's woman, trying to so-called stick it to him by way of going to their women. What you should have been doing is trying to get liberation for yourself. What you should have been trying to do is get that foot off your neck. But see, the foot is not on your neck. And the only time you recognize it being on your neck is when you want to get away with doing something that you think white men are getting away with doing. Because let's just be real. Whenever we hear about this war against Black men, it's usually being brought up when there's a Black man like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, we see Trey Songz going through it, Ari Spears, when they engage in some degeneracy, and then they're getting a consequence for it. And Black men think that because they perceive white men to be getting away with crimes, they want to be able to get away with crimes as well. The reality is, Dr. Umar can sit up here and list all the different ways that the system is disenfranchising Black men and Black men in a victim boat. But the reality is, what he cannot tell you is what Black men did in response to it, because they did nothing.
Well, number one, again, I think that it is such a shame, coming from a psychological perspective, that we seek to heal our wounds as a people by relying on unprofessional testimony by individuals who have a vendetta against the opposite gender in their community. When you hear Sister Cynthia speak, you can hear a hurt and a pain and a hatred towards Black men. We cannot find an effective solution to Black male-female relationship issues or the oppression of Black men or Black women when the people at the table having the conversation have negative emotional and pathological interests in the conversation that are not.
Umar, the question wasn't about my emotional state. The question was, what did Black men do in response to their disenfranchisement? Yeah, because you're trying to pathologize my emotional state, not that I'm a psychologist too. But what you're not doing is telling us what Black men did.
I believe he'll get there, Dr. Umar.
May I finish?
Dr. Umar.
And I'll end it quickly, Sister Tammy. According to Mrs. Cynthia G, Dr. King was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Malcolm X was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Medgar Evers was assassinated because he was doing nothing. Fred Hampton was assassinated because he was doing nothing. That narrative that Black men have done nothing to fight back against systemic oppression, not only against ourselves, but against our women, our children, our elders, and our community, is absolutely ridiculous. The cemetery is filled with Black men, names we know and names we don't know, who gave their life for the freedom, liberation, and emancipation of African people. How can you disrespect the history of so many Black men, past and present, who continue to fight? I'm sitting in a school right now that we built with all Black money, 4 buildings that we're going to educate Black men in. It's not easy to solve our problems because there's always Black people in your very same community who's fighting against what you're trying to do to help it. But in addition to that, the white power structure is always waving its wand of oppression to try to sabotage anything we do. I think that the analysis of our women is too overly simplistic, and in being such, it is dishonest.
They've done so much. You've only listed names and not accomplishments, though.
I can list some accomplishments. Okay, when it comes down to it, what have Black men done since the 60s? We've turned around and we're still inventing things. We still open up businesses. Here in LA, you got Black businesses all around town. It's just that when we open these businesses up, you have a city that these Black businesses suddenly catch on fire. You have issues when it comes down to what's going on right now with one of my cousins and these abatement laws, who's built plenty of properties here in LA, managing it. But because there was some gang activity down the street, a nuisance abatement is about to get all of his properties taken. So when black men do build things, and we build things on individual basis, you're not going to see an NBC special about what the great black man built. When Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, and J. Prince tried to put together a distribution, they all got charges the next week. So it's not like we don't build things. When we do build things, something always ends up seeming to happening. And in spite of that, you've seen the most black business male ownership that's gone up in the last 60 years since the coronavirus. We still doing it. I personally got 3 businesses, so I don't know what you're talking about. I employ young black men. I've helped thousands of black children here in South Central LA. So all this black men ain't doing nothing. Where are you kicking it at?
I'm not sure where Sister Cynthia took history class, but if you know anything about the transatlantic slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade was a European enterprise. It was not an African enterprise.
I'm talking about the sub-Saharan slave trade. You should go look into it.
Excuse me.
You address me.
May I finish?
Go look into the sub-Saharan slave trade where black men are trading their women and children for alcohol and tobacco.
I want a monologue. May I finish?
Go ahead, Dr. Umar.
The transatlantic slave trade was a European enterprise. It was not an African enterprise. Although there were some chiefs who participated in it, by no means did they control the direction and extension of the transatlantic slave trade. So that's number one. Number two, black men resisted enslavement, not only on the shores of Africa, but right here in America. We celebrate Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser. There's literally hundreds of documented attempts by African men to liberate not only themselves, but their women and their children. So to act like we just sat there and were complicit in our own oppression is absolutely ridiculous. The other point I want to clarify for your information, Cynthia G, you've never, ever heard me condemn the civil rights movement. The good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a hero of mine. And despite me being a Pan-African nationalist, I take issue with other black nationalists who do want to dismiss Dr. King's accomplishment. The civil rights movement was necessary because it removed a psychological scar that suggested of racial inferiority. So you've never heard me deride the civil rights movement. I support it, although I took certain issues with it. The bottom line is when black women, black girls, black boys listen to this conversation we're having today, they're going to be confused because they hear 2 brothers speaking of a greater context to the problems that affect black men, and you hear 2 intelligent, beautiful black women who want to keep scapegoating black men while ignoring the historical and contemporary systemic challenges that are constantly placed in our way. I'm going to say this and be quiet, Sister Tammy. I got to give you this. There was a recent piece of research, Tammy, that came out. And the research said a black man with a master's degree, they did a study. They had white males who had come out of prison apply for jobs. They had black men with master's degrees, Sister Tammy, apply for the jobs. And guess what? The white males with prison history and no education were called back more than 75% of the time than black men with no prison history and a master's degree.
I'm aware of that. I am aware of that.
You know, as you can see, and that's my point that I was making in the beginning of this video. And what they're talking about, there's so many experts out there. Everybody feel like they got the solution. Cool. You can argue solutions all day. But I find it funny when you have people that come together to argue solution, and then you just have the negative Nancy that just wants to say bad things. You know, the bottom line is this: when it comes to slavery and Jim Crow and the things that we've been through in this country, we went through those things together. When you look back at history, you look at the videos that they have, you look at pictures, I see black men and black women and even black children working together, a group of people united. I don't see the point of putting your own people down and just saying stuff. And she's just having all she does is lie. She just makes up lies, and then she forces you to debate her lies. And it's obvious she's just coming from a place of hurt. So you can't have no real conversation with her. And you're just wasting your time. And you're not going to get anywhere. And I don't understand why they even invite her into conversations, because she literally says the same thing every time. It's going to be, and it's weird to me because even with Kanye West, right? He did the whole slavery is a choice. And isn't that the same thing Cynthia G has always said? That we black men, we just willingly went into slavery. She acts as if we loved it. She had the whole what she say before? She said, "Oh, we need to abort black male babies." She just says a lot of crazy stuff. So at some point, it's like a big joke. It's like, why has she ever been a part of conversations? And I know recently they had got her off YouTube, but having someone like her a part of these conversations, it just hinders the conversation. It doesn't lead to any solutions. I've not once ever heard her have a nice conversation with somebody and even come up with a solution. It's just whatever nasty bad thing she can say about her people is what she's going to say. Because I'm not going to say she's saying something about black men, because I believe, look, if you're a black guy and all you got is something bad to say about black women, you talking about your people, so you making everybody look bad. If you're a black woman and all you got to do is say something bad about black men, they your people. You just making your people look bad. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. More importantly, leave a comment with your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you all. Risky out.
Risky behavior.